Right then guys, who will stay at Luton Town, who will leave, who are we going to sell? After being relegated from the Premier League, there were a few standout performers, but we may lose a couple of them. And there are some players that you would consider dead wood, and we obviously may need to let them go in order to bring some decent players in. You guys love these types of videos. I do it every single season. And yeah, we're going to go through the whole squad. I've got my phone, got the players ready because I don't want to miss out on any players. And yeah, we're going to start off with the goalkeepers. James Shea, a great servant at Luton Town Football Club. From League 2 all the way to the Premier League. He got to feature in the last 15 minutes of the Premier League game against Fulham. I think we may say goodbye to Shea, and that may be the last time we see of him, which is a real shame because I do think he is a good backup goalkeeper. I do think he's better than Tim Krul. I would keep him over Krul in my opinion, but I do think we are going to let James Shea go. And if I'm being honest with you, there's a perfect move for him, and that is being #1 goalkeeper at Charlton under Nathan Jones. And I can see that being a really good deal for him. Back to London, he's from London area, doesn't, you know, it's move-wise, it's an ideal move, doesn't have to probably relocate. And yeah, I think it's an ideal switch, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him stay, but I do think he will go. The next goalkeeper is Tim Krul. I don't think he's been amazing. Considering the amount of experience he's got at the highest level, he's been a real disappointment in my opinion. I would let him go, but as he only signed last year, I can actually see him staying, and he would be one of the 3 goalkeepers that I do think will be here next season. The other goalkeeper we got is Jack Walton. We haven't seen him play all season because he has been out on loan to Dundee, where he actually won them promotion and also kept over 20 clean sheets in the process. An outstanding goalkeeper for them, and he comes back to the club and he could be second choice goalkeeper to the back of Thomas Kaminski. I would keep Walton just to be backup, and it's a solid backup choice in the Championship, someone who's played Championship football as well. Thomas Kaminski had a fantastic season in goal for Luton. Despite the amount of goals we did concede, I don't think all of the goals were his fault. I actually think he kept the scoreline down a few times in the Premier League last year. And yeah, I feel best goalkeeper I've seen since Mark Tyler. Very good shot stopper, and I definitely think he'd be our #1 choice in the Championship. Do I think clubs are going to be after him? I don't think so. I really don't. They got to give us more than 3 million because we paid 2.5 for him in the summer, and I think his age goes against him. 32 years old. I just don't see many teams even looking at it, if I'm being honest with you. So I do think we'll be fine keeping Kaminski next season. Now we talk about the defenders. First defender we're going to talk about is Dan Potts. I would let go Dan Potts. I don't understand why we kept him on, if I'm being honest with you. Really brutal saying that, because he did score the winning kick in the penalty shootout against Coventry to get us promoted. I feel like that would have been the perfect moment to say goodbye to him and pay our respects. But he's not played a single minute this season because he's been, yet again, injured. He's been injured ever since we've signed him in League 2. He's always had an injury. And I just feel like we can't carry these types of players around. They're unreliable. We needed Dan Potts the most this season, considering the injury crisis we've had at the club, and he hasn't played a single minute of Premier League football. So, in my opinion, we need to be letting him go and find someone who's much more reliable and can actually stay fit. I know it sounds harsh. I actually don't think he's got the Premier League quality anyway. So I was surprised we actually gave him a new contract. But I would be departing ways with Dan Potts. The next one is our captain, Tom Lockyer. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with him in regards of his future in football, but I can't see him playing football at that high level again. That's just my opinion. I think with it happening twice, it's, you know, I feel like people are going to have a different perspective on things. Whatever his decision is, we'll all pay our respects on what that decision is, but I can't see him playing in a Luton shirt again. I really can't. So I would say we would need to replace Tom Lockyer, because I think, you know, family comes first and all that. And you saw him at the end of the game against Fulham with his child. You know, that's his future there. And so I feel like that would be more important than playing in a Luton shirt again. And that's just the way I see it. But if he wants to play football again, then, you know, fair play to him. But I just don't see him playing for Luton again, if I'm being honest with you. The next defender is Mans Andersen. Unfortunately, he's had a lot of injuries in his first season at Luton. Can't really judge him too much. From what I saw, there were good elements there, but really tough to judge him properly because of him being in and out of the side. Next season will be the season to properly judge Mans Andersen, and he is a championship defender at least. He proved it with Barnsley, and I have no issues with him next year, and I feel like he'd be he'd feel like a new centre half, if I'm being honest with you. Next one up is Isa Kapore. On and off, mixed reviews about him from Man City. I don't think we'll sign him on a permanent deal. He lacks game experience, if I'm being honest with you. You can tell with the way he's played. He had some good games, he had some bad games, but not consistent enough for my liking. I don't think we would be signing him on a permanent deal next summer. He's still under contract at City, but I just don't see him being one of the loan deals which we make permanent. Next up is Tidon Menji. I feel like I always get his name wrong. I find it hard to say, but when I keep hearing people say his name, they say Menji, so I'm going with that. I think we sell him. I really do. I think he's gonna gather a lot of interest in the summer, and I feel like we're going to be looking at a fee of over 10 million. He's still well under contract at the club. He got thrown in straight into the deep end this season because of all the injuries we had at the back. He's been absolutely excellent. No one expected us, well, him in particular, to perform the way he has done, and I feel like we are going to get the rewards of that by getting that fee in the summer. I don't know which club will go in for him. There were interests from Europe. I think I saw Fulham looking at him as well, but I do think the fee you're looking at is well over £10 million, which will be the most we've ever received for a Luton player. But I would love to keep him in the Championship, but I just honestly think he will end up, either playing at the highest level possible. But if we do keep him, it'd be absolutely amazing. The next defender is Reece Burke. I've always said this, if Reece Burke can stay fit, he's a Premier League defender, but he gets a lot of injuries. I would keep Reece Burke. I think a lot of people would get rid of him because of the injuries, but I would keep him because I do think if you can get 30 games out of him in a season, that is good. But I would love him to just try and stay fit a little bit more. I know you can't help injuries, but I do actually like him, so I would keep him. But because we have one or two players that do tend to get injured, defence and midfield is an area which we're going to look at, but I'll talk about that in a future video. Next up we have is Hashi. Hashi, hard to judge him in January when we brought him in because he was thrown straight in. Lots of injuries as well. January's Championship is going to be the way I'm going to judge him properly, just like with Mans Andersen as well. A little bit too lightweight at the moment for my liking. He does need to put a bit of strength on. I know the English game is a lot stronger than he's probably used to, but I'm not judging him fully yet. But he definitely needs to get a bit stronger. Next up, Amari Bell. Amari's proved that he can play in the Championship and he can do that at a decent level. So yes, I would keep Amari. I think he's under contract as well. Next up is Osho. Now Osho, it has been rumoured to be one of the players out of contract in the summer, and he could depart ways. I actually don't see a Premier League club going after Osho. I really don't. I don't think he's done enough. I could be really surprised here, but I actually think he's going to go. I haven't seen... I don't think he was good enough anyway in the Premier League. Injuries didn't help, of course, but towards the latter point of the season, he just didn't look good at all. When he first came back from injury in the first part of the season, I think it was against Aston Villa, that type of run of games, he was good. But apart from that, he hasn't really impressed me in the Premier League. So I wouldn't be too, worried if he left, if I'm being honest with you. But I actually don't see him staying. Next up is Alfie. Now Alfie, for me, first half of the season was absolutely amazing. I thought second half of the season his performances did dip, but he's still got 10 goal contributions from left back, which is absolutely amazing in the Premier League. I do think he may get interest. He may be someone which we're going to find really hard to keep hold of. But yet again, I don't see big Premier League teams coming in for him. I see maybe one or two in the bottom half of the Premier League to maybe bring him in, but I don't see much interest. I think his second half performances kind of let himself down a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. But I could be wrong, and he may have a lot of interest. But I feel like we may actually see him in a Luton shirt next season. And the last defender we're going to talk about is Tom Holmes, which we signed from Reading, but we let him go back out on loan to Reading to finish the season off. I do think he's a Championship defender. I've seen him in the Championship before, and Reading fans all think he's Championship material. So he's going to be like having a new centre-half in the team as well. But as you can see, a lot of defenders could potentially be going, and an area which we definitely really need to look at in the summer before the Championship season starts. In the midfield, we're going to just talk about the one player that's probably definitely going to go, which is Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley, lots of interest from Man United and also Aston Villa as I'm recording this video. I can't see him staying. I do think there's going to be a clause in his contract that says if Luton get relegated, he is allowed to go for a certain price or can go for free. I don't think we're going to get multiple millions of pounds, which people are suggesting. I think he wouldn't have agreed that when he first signed. But him playing for Luton has done himself a favour. It really has, because he's been a massive standout. Signing of the season for me on a free. What he's produced on the pitch has been absolutely brilliant. I didn't think he was going to do that, if I'm being honest with you. So he's exceeded my expectations of him. We knew he had it in him, but we just didn't know if we could get it consistently. But he has produced it, and I feel like he's earned himself a really good move. I just can't see him playing Championship football next season. The next player is Luke Berry. I would keep Luke Berry. I feel like he's a goal-scoring midfielder, but he may want to play regular football. There's rumours that he's out of contract in the summer, but I feel like he stays. I really do. And if he does leave, I feel like he can do a really good job at Championship level. No problems there. Also, again, a certain former Luton manager, Nathan Jones, may want to be giving him a really good deal in League One, but I can't see him dropping to that level. But I would keep Luke Berry, if I'm being honest with you. Marvellous Nakamba, of course, injuries have affected him, but I feel like next season in the Championship, we all know he can do it, and I do think he will be a very good player next year. Chong started off okay. I thought second half of the season he came into his own very well. Chong, for me, I think it's going to be an absolutely massive standout next season in the Championship. I think he's going to tear it apart for us. I really do. Next up is Pelly. I fall in love with Pelly the moment he played for Luton, and I feel like, you know, one more year, Pelly Ruddock is what I say. But it'd be nice for him to help us get back, you know, promoted back to the Premier League and then leave on a high, rather than leave on a low in a relegation sense. So I would actually keep Pelly just because he knows everything about the club. Next player is Clark. Clark, when he came back from injury, he weren't the same player. I feel like he lacked a bit of quality, made a lot of mistakes in the Premier League, but we know he can do it in the Championship, so I would keep Clark. Dion Pereira, a youngster which we signed but hasn't really lived up to his potential, obviously would let him go. Louis Watson, and again another player which was young and we brought in, not really impressed on his loan spells, so I think he's someone we actually will let go. Alan Campbell, I do think we'll let Alan Campbell go, and yet again I'm going to say his name again. Nathan Jones will be absolutely all over that deal. He would want Alan Campbell at Charlton, so I can see Alan Campbell leaving Luton Town. Had a great year under Nathan, but I don't think he was Rob Edwards' type of player. Ryan Giles, I don't think it's worked out for both parties, and I do think we're going to sell him. I think Hull want him, and I feel like we're going to get our money back as well for him, which is the most important thing. So I do think we are going to let Ryan Giles leave the club. You've got the Conga. I think it's been absolutely brilliant for Luton, but I don't think we get him on a permanent deal, if I'm honest. I think the price tag is going to be too much. I don't think it's worth us spending over 10 million for him, if I'm being honest with you. He said he absolutely loved it at the club. He's never had the support before, but I personally think he won't be playing for Luton. I think he will be playing for a club in a higher division, in my personal opinion. But if the finances are there and we can get it, then 100% sign Conga. But he had 2 injuries, which, you know, cost us a little bit. So I don't want us paying over the odds for a player which, you know, has got an injury record. Andros Townsend, experience is there. We know he's well under contract. I think he's got another 2 years at the club. So, you know, having his experience to help the younger players is going to be vital. Fred Onyedinma. I actually like Fred. I think he puts in a good performance, but I don't think Rob Edwards likes him. So I do think we will be letting Fred Onyedinma leave. And the last one is another youngster who I don't think has lived up to his potential due to injuries, is Elliot Thorpe. I think we allow him to leave in the summer as well. And now we talk about the strikers. This is where I think Luton are at their strongest. Midfield needs looking at. After going through all those midfielders, we need at least 2 to 3 midfielders in the summer. That it needs to be addressed. You need to replace, obviously, Barkley. Lokonga needs replacing, and then add another player with a bit of quality as well. It needs looking at. It 100% does need looking at. But what doesn't need looking at is our attacking force. Now, the question is, do we lose a few attacking players? If we are going to lose an attacking player, it would be Adebayo. I don't think we lose Morris. I think age goes against Morris, but I do think we could potentially lose Adebayo. I think his goal record in the Premier League was outstanding compared to the amount of games he started. His stats were brilliant, and he causes a handful. And because of his age as well, it goes in his favour a little bit. I've already seen interest that Everton are looking at Adebayo as well. He is one player which I do think we will lose, but I hope we can keep. But I've got a feeling we're going to lose him. But yet again, it's got to be a really decent fee if we are going to lose him. Rob Edwards has come out and said we are in no obligation to let players go. They're all well under contract apparently. So we're in a good position. And if teams want our players, they've got to give us a hefty fee. Morris finished the season being our top goal scorer with 11 goals. I think we all know what he can do. And I still think he'd be a Luton player next season. Hopefully another 20 goals in the Championship. That would do nicely. Ogbeni been a real good standout on a free transfer from Rotherham. He's exceeded my expectations. And I think we'll see an Ogbeni that gets a lot more goal contributions in the Championship next season. Woodrow, I think we could potentially lose Woodrow. I think we may actually just let him go because of Taylor and McAtee coming into the team. I feel like Woodrow, he's at the wrong point in his career. He's near that 30 mark, and I feel like we might as well. He's at a point in his career he might as well just play regular football. Where I don't know where he's going to do that. Could be again Charlton. He's got real good technical ability. I feel like he does know where the goal is if he plays regularly, but I can't see him being a consistent starter for Luton. And especially when you've got players like Jacob Brown, I've already mentioned McAtee and Taylor, you've got a fair bit of attackers there who can, who you can put and say, actually, these lot could do a better job than you. So it sounds harsh, but I do think we're going to let Woodrow go. Jacob Brown, I've liked him. I really do. Obviously, he had a hip injury in the second half of the season where we would have seen him a lot more. I thought he does cause a few problems. He did miss a few sitters. He could have got a few more goals to his tally, but he's someone who I feel like will do a real good job in the Championship and get a lot of goal contributions himself. McAtee, great loan spell at Barnsley. I can actually see him starting. A few Championship clubs were after him in the January transfer window, so I do think he will feature for Luton. The same with Taylor as well. We have got a few headaches in the attack because Taylor and McAtee, I feel like, have put in a decent argument that they should be playing regular football, especially in the Championship. I feel like we're going to let players like Musway and Pebble leave the club. I feel like they will go quite easily, but there would be a massive argument on Taylor, McAtee, Brown, Morris, Adebayo, Ogbeni, Chong, all these attacking players. How do we make all these players happy? It's a good debate to have, and a lot of headaches to have for Rob Edwards, because that's a very good attack. I don't think attack needs to be looked at. I feel like we're really good, especially with Andros Townsend as well included in that. Going forward, we're going to score a lot of goals. It's going to be interesting to see what Rob Edwards actually does, because since being Luton manager, he actually hasn't had the opportunity to play his own style of play. When he came to the club, he literally just tweaked what Nathan Jones was doing, 1 or 2 tweaks. And then in the Premier League, we had to play a certain way. Now he gets the opportunity to play his own way of football now. He's going to have a bit of money. he's going to have a lot. You know, Premier League, it gives us quite a lot. I don't expect us to spend more than 10 million, but I could be wrong. But he's going to have a bit of money under his belt. But I feel like that money needs to be looked at in the defensive areas and in the midfield. We get that right in the summer, we are going to be strong, and we will certainly be, you know, looking to be trying to win promotion back to the Premier League and come back a lot stronger. But those are my thoughts. So quite a bit of you know, movement in the summer, quite a bit of interest in certain players, especially in Menji, Barkley, Alfie potentially, Adebayo as well. But we're in a healthy position, a lot of them under contract. We could have a few more surprises, but I will be reacting to these surprises as the season goes along. But I'm excited on what players we do bring in, but hopefully a few decent defenders in the summer. That is definitely a must. We really need to get that defence right. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts all down in the comment section of the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.